After doing hundreds of discovery consultation calls and failing at half of them, today I close at 97% of them. I've distilled a formula that works so that you don't have to go through the trial and error that I went through to get the sale. My name is Natalie. I am a marketer who specializes in sales funnels and automation. Okay, obviously, if you're at this point that you are getting discovery calls, then you are past the first phase of a sales funnel or creating what I call a successful sales roadmap. That's a little bit easier. If you've made it to the point that you're getting consultation calls, you're in the right place. If you haven't made it to the point that you are getting people booking your consultations, then we have to go back a few steps to what content you're putting out. I have another video that talks about the first step of a sales funnel. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and look at that and then come back to this, okay? But I'll be here. So, the first step, and I have my notes here just so we make sure we stay on track. My first step of this call, the person has booked your call before even getting on the call. Some of the stuff that I do is I have when they book a discovery call, it asks them a few questions. Nothing too invasive, because study shows that anything past 5-7 questions, most people will fall off and not be interested in doing it anymore because you're asking them more labor than they want to put in. Usually these calls are moments of burst of energies where it's like, yeah, let me do it, because they've seen something that attracted them and reached out, connected with their pain point. They want the solution as soon as possible. And sometimes having a one-on-one call is the best way to close the deal. So you want to ask a few questions on whatever link you're using to book these calls, whether it's Calendly or Squarespace or Acuity, either one. You want to make sure you have a few questions. And some of the questions that I ask personally are, what is your name, your email address, your phone number, and why do you want to have this call? What's your concern? What do you want me to discuss? I also will ask for their Instagram or their website. And the reason for that is because before I get on the call, I want to do some research. I want to come to the call with some positives and some feedback. And the way to do that is to do a little bit of research about what their product is or what their service is, or even who they are. If they're a mother, you would talk to them different. If they're a man in corporate America, obviously you would speak to them different. So kind of getting a feel so that you're better prepared for what could seem like a job interview in best case scenario. And now that we've done that, it's the moment of the call. Hopefully you've had your automation set to remind them that the call is coming up. Send them an email that you're excited about the call, and have sent them some kind of information that they could have questions for you. So what I like to do when I get on the call, I like to say, hi, can I speak to X, Y, and Z? Correct? And then they'll say yes. And I'll say, is this still a good time to talk? And they'll say yes or no. Great. I'll establish right from there what the dynamic of this call is going to look like. The first thing I'm going to say is that, hey, this call is going to be 15 to 30 minutes, and it's just to get a feel to make sure that we're a good match for each other. I want to make sure I can deliver the results you need, and I want to make sure that we are going to get the most out of our partnership. So typically at that point, most people are open, and I'll tell them if it's not a good partnership, I'll be sure to give you some resources about what I think is best for you by the end of this call. And that way, I'm establishing that this is a win-win call. I also like to say that my calls are obligation free. And the reason for that is sometimes people may not be in the last stage of buying yet. They may not have the money, but they kind of want to get the information. They may not be contemplating between somebody else. And yes, as you get busier and bigger, you might want to outsource some discovery calls. I still personally take all my discovery calls, or I have my assistants, but we have system and automations that are going through Matrix to decide if each lead is ineffectively before taking those calls. But I don't want to confuse you, so I'll go back to what we were saying, establishing that it is a win-win conversation, which also encourages them to stay open. I tell them what the call is going to be. I say, hey, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm going to ask you a few questions to get a better understanding, and by the end of the call, I'm going to tell you the next steps. Boom, boom, boom. We don't want to waste people's time. We don't want to drag out the conversation, and we definitely don't want to come to the phone with unprepared. My calls are typically, I use Google Suites, so I will be talking to them virtually. I like to see them virtually, but sometimes people don't want that, and I'm completely okay with a phone call. I just like to establish that high, fun energy that they can get a feel of who I am before we get started, okay? Okay, so at this point, we've established some kind of connection. I've shared who I am, they've shared who they are, and now I'm going to ask the important questions. My first question is, what made you take this call? What made you book this call? Listen, do not interrupt, do not offer a solution. Listen thoroughly through, okay? You listen and you let them be heard. The only time I would respond in this phase where I'm asking questions is only to give positive feedback or reassurance that I'm listening, either repeating back to them what they said to me or saying, yes, I understand, keep going, and saying, oh, you know, the little ad-libs that we use to let people know that we're paying attention. So I'll do that for the first 5 minutes of asking the questions. Now, if you want access to these questions that I use to close, I'm going to need you to go ahead and go to the bottom of the screen and click on that link that says free downloadable PDF. And in that PDF, I'm going to give you access to the questions, the world leading questions and research data questions that help me get the best answer and best possibility out of these discovery calls. Keep in mind though, as you're asking these questions, you don't only want to ask them back to back. You want to let them answer and, like I said, respond with either reaffirming them or saying I understand, or I've had clients have this challenge before. You definitely don't want to only make it seem like you're drilling them down. You want to make it as friendly, as personable as possible, so they feel like they're talking to someone they know, which could create a bond and build a form of trust. Once you've collected all the data, you will want to go and say, so what I'm collecting is this. And then you would want to propose your solution. If you have packages, you would say, I think I have the perfect package for you. And in this package, you're not going to tell them exactly what you're doing, but you are going to cover basic solutions to their problem. So we offer A, B, and Z. When you tell them their solutions, you're also going to tell them the time frame. And the reason the time frame is really important is because at the closing of the call, you're going to see why. One of my questions is, what's your timeline for this project? Or how soon would you like to see a turnaround? For one, it helps me establish what kind of urgency they're in, what mindset they're in. Two, it also helps me establish what's the expectations on my behalf. So what do expectations they have for me? If someone's saying they have 30 days, they want to see a turnaround in 30 days, I'm going to give them a realistic expectation for all our projects and all our consultings are a minimum of 90 days. And then I'll elaborate on that. But definitely establishing the timeline will come even more imperative at the end. So after you've offered the solutions and you've offered the time frame, you're going to ask them, what do they think? What's their mindset? Usually at this point, they're going to tell you their hold up. They're either going to say, I'm not sure, I got to think about it. Now you know that you have to probe a little bit more. What are you not sure about? You want to make sure they leave the call at ease with green lights pretty much to go forward. So if they're saying, I'm just not sure, you're gonna have to ask some questions to ask, okay, what is it you're not sure about? If they're like, I just feel like I might be spending a lot and I'm not sure, that's where you would tell them what they're forfeiting. Staying inactive, what it does. Well, I know you're not sure about spending X, Y, and Z, but in 90 days, you would actually be forfeiting making X, Y, and Z. The longer you wait, the more money you're losing. Your money's not gaining interest staying in your pocket. Shift their perspective. Let them see what the future looks like. Explain to them what the future looks like. Like in 90 days, you can be closing 10 sales. You can be closing whatever it is. Or if you're a nurse, you could be having 3 students under your mentorship. Whatever it is, help them visualize themselves in the future. Because here's a trick. The brain doesn't actually know what is really happening or what you're rehearsing in your mind. So giving them that vision to rehearse only helps them release more dopamine and be more excited and make it more realistic that they can reach that goal, whether or not whether or not they work with you or not. So I just want to be very, very clear with you. And now we'll do the soft close and the based off the soft close and the call to action. So the call to action will be, okay, if you sign up tonight or within the next 24 hours, we get this. Or if you can do whatever you need them to do in order to move to the next stage. Usually for me, the next stage is getting them to sign up, to lock in, and getting them onboarded so we can start the consultation. I'll tell them, these are my next steps. Once you finish this call with me, I'll send you over a proposal. In that proposal, I'll send you the invoice and I'll send you the contract. Look it over. If it's something that you decide that you want to do, and side note, let me pause. You have to be sure that they want to move because you don't want to overwhelm them. If they said they're not sure, I would only send the proposal. But if they sound pretty confident, I will send them the proposal, the invoice, and the contract just so we can move forward as soon as possible. And I'll tell them, I'll need your logins, I'll need this, I'll need that. And on this day, I'll start telling them what's the goal for the next 90 days or how I'm going to hold their hands and all the fun stuff. But you really have to build in that confidence. I want to avoid signing so salesy. Like it's really hard to read a pitch and sell it as your own. I'm not saying that the words won't be the right words or whatever, but you really need to add your own touch, your own feel to it so that people can feel your personality and build that trust and would literally go forward with you. So let's recap this. You booked a discovery call. What is the first thing we're doing? We're making it friendly. We are establishing the time frame. We're asking, is this a good time to call? How long this call is going to be? What we're going to be discussing in the call. Then we go into listening mode. We ask some questions. We ask these 5 major questions to get an idea of what they want, when they want it, how fast they want it, and how they plan on delivering it. Once we get that out the way, now we recap. We speak back what they spoke to us, and we make sure that we are on the same page, understanding exactly what they want you to deliver or what's the solution that they want. Most people don't know how they want the solution. They just know that they want the solution. So then once we've done that, we've offered the solution, which is a package, a webinar, a downloadable, a PDF, whatever it is. We're saying this is what you're going to get, and that is going to cause your transformation. Once we get that transformation, we close out the call, making sure that there's no lingering questions, making sure that there's no doubt to the best of our ability, and not sounding too salesy, just having a casual conversation. And whatever they say, you don't want them to leave off with, if they said, oh, I don't have enough, or right now isn't the best time. That's not where you want them to leave off. You want them to leave off with either 1, a follow-up call, or 2, closing the deal. Whichever one. Email, but it has to be a continued line of communication because we're nurturing. The part of sales funnels is to nurture your leads, to build a relationship with them, a rapport with them. I like to think of all my customers as if you're dating them. You want to get to know them. You want to get to know what they like. You want to get to know what makes them happy. And you want to get to know what's going to add benefits to their life. Because that's really the whole game. It's transforming people's lives in many ways or major ways. They're all impactful. You just have to make sure that's what you're doing. So I try to get the feel for my clients and my leads and almost date them to realize if we're a good match. And if we're a good match, we go into a relationship. We go into a partnership and we make this thing happen. Now, as promised, I said that I'd give you a free gift at the end, which is that downloadable with the questions you can ask on your discovery call to make sure that you are asking the right calls that will lead you to success. If you have any questions and you aren't sure what's next, just be sure to comment them down below. My next video will be a part 2 of this series as we continue the sales funnels process. If you are interested in getting some mentorship, some consulting, be sure to book a free discovery call with me. It's obligation free, and we'll be able to get you on the right step and the right path and the right direction to get you at your financial goals or life goals overall.